If you like the following story, subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Also, check out the description for a link to our children's books.
Chapter 9 of the Count of Monte Cristo for kids, in which our hero discovers that treasure maps are considerably more confusing in real life than they are in prison dust. There are certain things one expects to need when hunting for treasure. A map, which Edmund had memorized, a shovel, which he'd managed to borrow from some rather confused sailors, and a reasonable amount of good luck, which after years in prison he felt the universe rather owed him. What one doesn't expect to need is an excellent memory for Abbe Faria's very specific and occasionally confusing directions. "Look for the eagle's beak in the western cliffs," Edmund muttered to himself as he circled the island in a small boat. But not if it's actually a seagull, because apparently that's a common mistake. The number of rocks that looked like eagles on this particular island was, frankly, ridiculous. After several hours of squinting at rocks that looked variously like eagles, seagulls, and in one case a rather grumpy-looking pelican, Edmund finally spotted it, a cliff that looked exactly like an eagle's beak, complete with a rather stern expression. Now, he recalled Abbe's voice in his head, wait until the sun is directly overhead, unless it's February, in which case all bets are off. Fortunately, it was June, so at least that part was straightforward. As the sun reached its highest point, Edmund watched as the shadow of the tallest rock stretched across the ground, like a giant's finger pointing the way. He followed it, counting steps just as Abbe had instructed, until he reached a spot that looked exactly like every other spot on the island. Except it wasn't. When he started digging, and really treasure hunting involves far more digging than adventure stories usually mention, his shovel hit something that definitely wasn't rock or dirt. It was a door, not the sort of door you'd find in a house, mind you, but the sort of door that practically screams, "Important treasure behind here," in a way that only secret doors can. Inside, Edmund found a cave that would have made even the most experienced treasure hunter drop their shovel in surprise. There were chests filled with gold coins, jewels that sparkled like stars had been captured and turned into rocks, and enough precious items to make a dragon jealous. "Well," Edmund said to no one in particular, though a nearby seagull seemed mildly interested, Abbe certainly wasn't exaggerating about this part. Knowledge, as Abbe had always said, was the greatest treasure of all, though Edmund had to admit the actual treasure was rather nice too. Loading the treasure onto his boat proved to be another adventure entirely. Gold, it turns out, is remarkably heavy, and jewels have an annoying tendency to sparkle at exactly the wrong moment, attracting the attention of passing seabirds who apparently thought they might be particularly shiny fish. But eventually, Edmund managed to secure his newfound wealth, ready to begin the next phase of his plan. For while finding the treasure was impressive, what he planned to do with it would be even more remarkable. Though first, he really needed to thank that seagull for not telling anyone about the cave. And so, dear reader, Edmond Dantes found the legendary treasure of Monte Cristo, though calling it a treasure seemed somehow inadequate. What he'd really found was a key to justice, to setting things right, and to becoming someone entirely new. Plus enough gold to buy several small countries, though he had rather more interesting plans than that. Dear reader, I assure you that no seagulls were harmed in the telling of this story.
Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Also, check out the description for a link to our children's books.